Okay, so I've got a squash, a flare, and a twist. I'm going to take them, I'm going to group them together. This is going to be my deformers group. I'm going to stick it, maybe I'll stick it under the root joint just to keep it safe. And because it's a group node, I do want to lock and hide everything. Now, by doing that, you'll notice that the deformer handles themselves disappeared from the viewing screen. I can get them back by turning the skeleton layer on, but I don't really want to turn the skeleton layer on. I want to keep the skeleton off, and I want to access, each of the deformers has basically one attribute that I care about. The twist handle has, I think I only care about end angle for the twist. And then the flare, I really only care about curve. And then the squash, I really only care about factor. So each one has one attribute that I care about and nothing else. So I'm just going to take these handles, I'm going to know where they are in my hierarchy, and I'm going to make myself some controls so that I can access them without having to see them. We're going to use NURBS curves, and that's kind of tough because right now the only curves that we have are this circle. I know it looks like we have the square. We don't actually have a square. The square is 4 individual lines. It's terrible. Never use the square. What I might do is and I hate the type tool. The type tool is really terrible. I almost never use it, but just this one time, I'm going to take my type tool, and it gives me this great big 3D type. I've got my attribute editor open. If you don't, Control or Command A to open the attribute editor. I'm going to go into the Type tab where I can say maybe S for squash. Perfect. Then in the Geometry tab, I can just say Create Curves from Type. And now if I look in my outliner, I've got this curve to poly thing. That's all I need. I can delete the type mesh, and now I've got poly to curve. I'm going to call this my squash control, and it's just a letter S. So now I'll go ahead and I'll do that again. Hate the type tool so much. Let's do a T for twist. And again, curve from type. I've got this new type mesh. Let's delete the type mesh. Curve to poly. We'll call this one twist control. And one more new one. Type F for flare. Create curves from type. Again, I'll just delete the mesh, and we'll call this one my flare control. Now each one of them is in a different group, so I'm going to Control or Command select them, or just Window select them here, group them together, and we'll call this one a deformers control group. Let's take those and delete them, and now I've got 3 pieces of type. I know they look pretty terrible. I'm going to select each of them, and in the Modify menu, I'm going to run Center Pivot. Put the pivot in the middle of them, and now that the pivot is in a sensible place, I'll just pull them apart so you can see that I've got an S, a T, and an F, and you can organize those any way you like. If you want to try to spell something funny, go right ahead. The deformers are meant to be funny. You are embracing the spirit of the exercise. So I'll pause that here just to let you get a handle on the horrible type tool and try to get some letters together.